Hilchis Zchiah U'Matanah Perek Shlishi. Now the Rambam in Hilchis Mechira, mamish in the beginning of Hilchis Mechira, the Rambam starts, Hamekach Eine Nikne B'Dvarim. In other words, you can't finalize a deal of a sale just by making up a upmacht between each other. It has to be that there's a Maisa Kinyan. The buyer has to make a Maisa Kinyan on the item. So Al Derech Zeh B'Negei Matana, the fact that they made up that the Noisna Matana is giving the Mekabel Matana, that's not a Maisa, that's not a Kinyan. In order for it to be a Kinyan, there has to be a Maisa Kinyan. That's this din, Perek Shlishi. Hanoisen Matana L'Chaveri, Eina Mekabel Zoicha Ba, for order for the Mekabel, the recipient of the Matana, to actually make an acquisition on this Matana, is only Ella Be'echad Men Adrachim Shakoyne Zoicha Ba Memikri. The same Maisa Kinyan that would be necessary for a sale, for the buyer to make a Maisa Kinyan on a sale, so that same Maisa Kinyan would be necessary for the recipient to make a Maisa Kinyan on a Matana. In Metaltalin Reitzel Litin Lei, if the giver wants to give a Metaltalin, is Zchiah U'Matanah, which Hagbah always helps by Metaltalin. There's certain things, there's something that's darker lagbia, so Mashiach doesn't help. Masha'inkin, those things that ain't darker lagbia, it's too heavy lagbia, we learn behemoths, so even if it's a small behemoth, so Mamela you can make Mashiach. Sheyimshech, davar she'ain darker lagbia. Oy, yikne be'echad mishara dvarim shametalton nikn bem. In other words, there's Hagbah, and there's Mashiach, and there's also Chlipin, there's a Kinyan Agav. In other words, a person makes a Maisa Kinyan, so if there's a Maisa Kinyan, so that makes the Kinyan. That works side by Mecher, and Al Derech Zeh by Matana. Now that's talking about by Metalton, Vim Karke Avodim Nosen Lei. So then, either the recipient of this Matana makes a Maisa Chazaka on the Karka, or on the Eved, or the giver of the matana is the one that gives him a shtar matana. Avol b'dvarim, just b'dvarim alein lei zocha mekabel. Kol echad b'm adayin yochel lachzbei, they can both have charata. Side the recipient can have charata, he doesn't want to take the matana, and side the giver can have matana, charata, he doesn't want to give the matana. It's b'kitzer. The din is that when a person makes up that he's going to give a matana, so the matana wasn't really given until there was a Maisa Kinyan, just like when you make up you're selling something. So the fact that you made up you're selling something, so it's not really sold until the buyer makes a Maisa Kinyan. So Al Derech Zeh, when you make up you're giving something, so it's not really given until the recipient makes a Maisa Kinyan. By Metaltalin, he has to make the same type of Maisa Kinyan that would work when he's buying Metaltalin, and by Karka he has to do the same Maisa Kinyan that would work when he's buying Karka. Now, mocha, this is talking about when there's an item that one wants to transfer to the other. Now, mocha lechaveri chayv sheyesh le'olav. Shimon owes Ruvain money, and now Ruvain wants to be moichel this chayv. Oy nosen le pikodin shoye mufkadatzle. Or Ruvain has a pikodin by Shimon, and now so Shimon already has possession of it, but it's not his. He has possession of it as a pikodin. And now he's saying that it's a matana. He wants that this pikadon should be a matana, or the money that Shimon owes him, she should be meichel. Nachamal machal chaveri chayv sheyesh li olav. A nosen li apikadon, or the giver gives the pikadon shehaya mufkadatzlei. So it's again harezu matanas harezu matana haniklis b'dvarim bilvad. Over here, you don't need a Maisa Kinyan. The Rambam said it before in Hilchos Mechira. There's no musig of a Maisa Kinyan by Mechila, even though he said there's some people that do a Maisa Kinyan, and the reason is to show that there's ernstkeit in this Mechila. But be'etzem ikra de dina, the fact that he's moichel achayv, or al derech zeh, when there's a pikodin, and he tells the person that this pikodin, which I have in your possession, you could keep. So over there, you don't need any new Maisa Kinyan. You don't need a davar acher. It's nachamal. So when a person gives something, so you have to have a Maisa Kinyan. Masha'enkein, if the person owes him money, or the person has a pikodin that of his, so no, there's either Shimon owes Ruvain money, or Shimon has a pikodin that Ruvain deposited by Shimon. So either way, so when Ruvain tells Shimon that you don't owe me the money anymore, I'm meichel you the money, or that this item that I deposited by you should remain yours, so then there's no need for any additional Maisa Kinyan, and it belongs to Shimon. Halacha Gimel. V'chein, ha'oim l'chaveri mona sheyesh li biyotcha tneu lezeh. And when you say tneu lezeh, means that zeh is in front of us. That's called Maimet Shloshten, which we learned about. So there's a special din of Maimet Shloshten, that if the three of them are standing, let's say Shimon owes Ruvain money, and Reuven wants to transfer this money to Levi. So Reuven says to Shimon, this money that you owe me, give it to Levi. Or the item that I have in your possession, I want you to give it to Levi. So in both cases, Levi is Kaina, even though there was no Maisa Kinyan. That's a din. The Maimon Shloshn is Kaina, it's a Milsa B'lei Taima, the Rambam said before. V'cheina ima lechaveri moni sheyesh li biyotcha tnei ulazeh is Kana. So this Zeh is Kaina. Bein echad b'm yochel lazbei no graf charata. Now, bein shenos namona b'cheiv sheyesh li yatzli. In other words, let's say it's possible that Reuven owes Levi money. So now Reuven is telling Shimon, the money that you owe me, I want you to give to Levi, and that'll pay up the chayv that I owe Levi. Or Reuven doesn't owe Levi any money. Reuven is just saying, Shimon, this money that you owe me, and I want you to give it to Levi. He's giving it to Levi as a present. And bein shehoyechev etzlei, whether Shimon owed Reuven the money, so in other words, it wasn't something be'en, it was something that Shimon owed Reuven the money. So it's chal that the chiyuv now that Shimon has to Reuven is chal to Levi, so Shimon has to give Levi the money. And ben shoyi bikoden etzlei, or Reuven had something deposited by Shimon, and he said, this item which is deposited in your possession, I want you to give it to Levi. So when if Levi is there, Reuven, Shimon, and Levi are all there. It's a Maimon Shloshtan. So then Levi is Kaina. Halacha Dalet. Kshem shein tzichen edim le'inyan mekach umemker. So in other words, we learn by Kedushin and by Gittin, in order for the Kedushin and the Gittin to take effect, it has to be done in front of Edim. If a person's Mekadosh Aisha and there was no Edim there, even though they both admit that there was a Kedushin, but the Kedushin is meaningless. Because the Kedushin has to have a Kedushin in front of Edim. They are called Edi Kiyom. They're Edim that make the Kedushin. Masha'enkin, by a sale, when you make a sale, the buyer and the seller are only there, so then there's no need for Edim. Lepel, the sale is chal even without Edim. And al derezeh, when there's a present being transferred, also there's no need for Edim. That's kshem shein sicham Edim. Linyan mekachum emker, just like for a sale doesn't need Edim. And the only purpose of Edim is ela legalis adover. In other words, for it to be clear that it happened. In other words, if there's two of them are arguing whether what happened or if it happened, so then the Edim will be able to tell us what actually happened. But you don't need the Edim to affect the thing. If someone's arguing about something or someone's denying something, is kach b'mechilas matanas, as far as being moichel achayiv, and al derezeh transferring a matana, giving a gift, is ein sicham edim elam pnei mishakrim. The only purpose of edim would be in order to avoid people that are lying. Masha'enkin the etzah b'chales kinyan is chal even without edim. Halacha hey. In other words, you can't sell something which is not clear, very ambiguous, and very unclear what you want to sell. Like you're saying, I'm selling a property. I'm selling a property of mine. That's not considered a sale. Is when you're giving a gift, you also have to be Messiah and make clear what the property we're talking about. A person writes, Karka minachosei nesunolach. He owns different karkois, and he says, one of my karkois, Karka minachosei nesunolach. Oi, shekosiv lekol nechosei knuyolach. I'm giving you all my possessions, chutz mimiksosim, except for some of them. Aber heil v'lisiyam adover shenosu leveini yadu. It's not clear what he's giving or what he's not giving. Is leikon klum, so the recipient didn't receive anything. And since things weren't clear, so even though he said karka menachosai, but lepel it was not clear which karka, or he said kol nechosai except for some of them, so we don't know which is the sum that he's not giving. So memele he's not kena. And ve'ena yochel leimole, so the recipient can't tell the giver, tanli pach shaben chosecha. It's not clear what you gave, but at least give me the very minimal. Nein, achesiyim le hamokim shenosle. No, that's not a ma'aseh kinyan. A ma'aseh kinyan about something which is not clear, it's the reason you don't have to give it, not because it's not clear what you gave. Because when you give something that's not clear, that's not called a ma'aseh kinyan. It's not ma'aseh kinyan. I'm giving a star that's not clear what we're talking about. That's talking about if it's bechlal not clear. L'moshel, he has many nechasim, and the question is which karka he gave. We're talking about a particular field, and he's saying a certain portion of that field. I'm giving you a half of this field, a third of that field. So even though he's not clear which part of the field, but since we know exactly what field we're talking about, he said clearly which field we're talking about. Even though he didn't clearly delineate which part of the field he's giving, is nevertheless he takes that portion. Let's say he said a half, he takes it. So the recipient is yad el hatachtena. So he takes a half or whatever percentage he said, and he takes it from the lesser quality field. Halacha Vav. When a person gives a matana al t'nai, whether the person that's giving the matana is the one that expressed the t'nai, or the recipient expressed the t'nai when the noisin was giving, and the hirzik mekabel, and then after that the mekabel made a ma'aseh kinyan v'zochaba, and he was zoiche in the item which was being given, but it was given al t'nai. So the din is im niskayim atnai niskayim matana. So the t'nai is chal. And just like we learned in Hilchos Ishus, that there's a din of a t'nai, which means that the chales of the kinyan that you're doing now is the contingent whether the t'nai will be miskayim. So al derech zeh b'negei matana, that the ma'aseh kinyan that's taking place right now is totally on the kiyum atnai. Im niskayim atnai, if the t'nai will be niskayim. So then niskayim matana. So then the matana is a good matana. However, Vim le niskayim atnai, if lepel the t'nai was never niskayim, is botla matana, so the matana is botla, and v'yaz the perish ha'achal. If this recipient ate the perish, and lepel at the end the t'nai wasn't niskayim, so it comes out gloy milsel mafreya that there was never a ma'aseh matana, so memeli he has to return the perish. V'hu sheyi atnai karoi, like the Ram will soon say that there's 4 t'noim in order for a t'nai. In other words, there's 4 conditions that a t'nai should be considered a proper t'nai. Now, when a t'nai is not a proper t'nai, so it's kila there was no t'nai. In other words, the ma'aseh is kayim and the t'nai is bottle, as we learned in Hilchos Ishus. So b'kitzer, so a person gives a matana al t'nai. So if the t'nai was niskayim, so then the matana is chal. If the t'nai is not niskayim, so the matana is not chal, and mafrei as if there was never a matana, and therefore if the recipient ate the peiros, he has to return the peiros. But that's only talking about if there was a proper t'nai, if this t'nai had a din t'nai. Halacha zayin kvar biyarnu shekol t'noim sheyesh b'matonas ebemekach u'memker. Any t'nai that's by a sale or by matana is tzarech sheyeh. First of all, it has to be a t'nai kofel, which means you have to say sai the hein and sai the lav, and the vehein has to be kedem lav. You shouldn't have first if it doesn't in the sky what will happen, and then if it is in the sky what happens. Fakert, it has to be first. If you'll do this, then it will be niskayim, and if you don't do this, it won't be niskayim. And utnai kedem lemaisa, the t'nai has to be kedem lemaisa. In other words, it has to be that b'tnai zeh, this and this is going to happen. Masha'inkin, if l'moshel you gave something and then you made the t'nai while you were giving, so even though when it wouldn't have a din t'nai, it's teich dibur, it would have a din, but lepel in hilchos t'noim, it has to be t'nai kedem lemaisa. It has to be the t'nai should be spelled out before the maisa. And also, the year t'nai shef shelekayim, it has to be t'nai which is together to make. If you're missing one of these t'noim, in other words, one of these conditions that a t'nai should be considered a good t'nai is bottle, so then the t'nai is bottle, and kila ain't shum t'nai, and since there ain't shum t'nai, so the maisa is kayim. So b'kitzer, in order for a t'nai to be a good t'nai, it has to be a t'nai kofel, it has to be hen kedem l'lav, it has to be t'nai kedem l'maisa, and it has to be a t'nai shef shelekayim. Halacha ches v'chol ha'emer al manas ka'emer mi'achshav dami ve'ein tzarich lichpol atnai. So we were learning that when a person gives a maton al t'nai, so in order for the t'nai to have a din of a t'nai, you have to have the 4 conditions of a t'nai. It has to be a t'nai kofel, it has to be hen kedem l'lav, it has to be t'nai kedem l'maisa, and it has to be a t'nai she'ef shelekayim. That's only when we're dealing with a t'nai, with a lashon of t'nai. Masha'inkin, the Rambam holds that when a person says that Ariat Mekudeshesli, Al Manas Zeh v'zeh, so when a person says Al Manas Zeh v'zeh, really the chales is being chal now. And it's really mi'achshav. It's just that it's totally in a certain thing that's going to happen later, but with Pale, the chales is happening now. By a Tanai, when a person says, Be'im, this and this is going to happen, Ariat Mekudeshes, so then the Be'im is the chales kedushin happens later. It's not mi'achshav. It's the chales kedushin happens later. So even though the ma'aseh kedushin, you have to understand, the ma'aseh kedushin happened now, but the chales kedushin is really happens later. And over there, in such a t'nai where the chales happens later, so over there, there's a din that there's all kinds of t'noim that this t'nai should have a din of a t'nai. Masha'inkin, when a person says al manas, so then the pshat is that it's happening now. It's mi'achshav. Memela be'emes, the whole chales is happening now. It's just that it's contingent on a certain Tanai. So then that Tanai doesn't have to be a Tanai kofel, and also it doesn't have to be the Rambam in Hilchos Ishus Taichazuis. It doesn't have to be a Tanai Kedem Lemaisa. Let's read again. Halacha Ches v'chein v'chol eimer al manas. A person says al manas. So then it's kaima me'achshav domi. So it's as if he said that I'm doing it now. It's like when a person says hareyat mikudeshesli, bit Tanai this and this. So then it's not miyachshav. Masha'enken, if a person would say miyachshav, hareyat mikudeshesli miyachshav, bitnai this and this, so you'll do this and this, so then Taka also wouldn't have the mishpatei atnoim. So normally when a person says a lashon of Tanai, he didn't say the word miyachshav, and it's Taka not miyachshav. Masha'enken, when a person says almanas, even without saying miyachshav, it's like saying miyachshav. Chol eimer almanas is keimer miyachshav dom. It's as if he said miyachshav. And therefore, there's no need to be careful at night. And lezeh daitinete, which the Rambam already said in Hilchos Ishus. That's din number one. And then the Rambam is saying another din. So it'll come out that if a person says al manas, al tnai, but it was no lashon of manas, so you don't need a tnai kofel. And you also, the Rambam doesn't say it here, but the Rambam over there says you don't need to have a tnai kedem l'maisa. Then the Rambam says nochazak v'rabbei say heru she'eni tzorech lichpol atnai ulahagdem hein lelav ela begitnu kedushin belvad. This din that it has to be a tnai kofel and it has to be a hein kedem lelav is only by gittin the kedushin, and it doesn't apply to mecher u'matanah. That's what Rabbei say of the Rambam held. On that the Rambam says ve'ein ledavar zerayah. There's the Eila Davar Zerayah, so Memela, the Rambam doesn't hold like that. The Rambam holds, and the Rambam said over there also, that the pastors, since the Bnei Gad and Bnei Reuven itself weren't getting the Kedushin, they were in need of Mominus. And from deswegen over there we have the din of a Tnai Kofel and Henkedim Lamaisa. So therefore the Rambam holds that even by Mominus you also need, that you should be a Tnai Kofel and it should be Henkedim Lamaisa. Halacha Tes, Hanoisin Matona al Minas Lahachzer. He's giving a matana, but the matana is almanas that the recipient has to give it back to the giver. Is harezu matana? That's considered a matana. Ben shehisna lahachzer miyad. Whether he made clearly the t'nai was that he has to return it right away, or ben shehisna lahachzir zman kotzev. He made a certain time zman kotzev for when he has to return it. A kol yimei chayiv shalechet mem, or he has to return it during the life of one of them. Either way, whichever how the t'nai was that he has to return it. Either he made up a t'nai, he should turn it right away, or he should made up a t'nai, he should return it after a certain time, or he made up a t'nai that he should return it during someone's lifetime. Is in any case harezu matana, bein b'metaltalim, bein b'karka, and ve'echel peiris calls mana matana. So the recipient is echel the peiris, because at that point in time it's his. Halacha Yud. Ha'imah l'chaveri sher zeh ani nesen l'chob matana al menashe tachzireu. He didn't say tachzireu li, he said tachzireu. And lepel, this recipient, higdishe, he went ahead and was magdish, the share, and then v'hechzira, he returned it to the one that gave it to him. So the question is, was he mekayim the t'nai? So the answer is yes, harei zeh mekudish. So that's considered mekudish umuzar, and it's also muzar. And knows if it wouldn't be muzar, so it would come out mafrei, it was never his, so he can't be magdish it. So we're saying no. The fact that he was magzir it while it was mekudish, that was a kiyum atnai. So memela, since it's a kiyum atnai, so therefore he was able to be magdish it. He can't be magdish it unless eventually he be mekayim atnai. However, that's when he told him al shet tachzirei without the word li. However, amalei al menashe tachzirei li. If he said clearly al menashe tachzirei li, ain't it kaddish. He says, you're going to return it to me that is going to become mine. So when a person says tachzirei without the word li, so then it's considered mughzer even if it's mekudish. Mashenkin, if you said tachzirei li, so you can't be magzer it while it's mekudish. Halacha Yud Osir li Yisrael litnu legoy matnas chinam. To give a goy stamazei matana bechinam, that's something you're not allowed to. Avol neisen hu leger teshav. The ger teshav means someone that's mekabel on himself the sheva mitzvahs b'nei nech. Avol neisen hu leger teshav shenema lager shebisharecha titnena v'achola ei mocher l'nochri. So we see to a ger doesn't mean a ger Yisrael, because we're talking about you're giving nevela. A nevela you're not going to give to a ger Yisrael because he's also been nevela. Lager shebisharecha titnena v'achola refers to a ger teshav. A mecher lenachri, so we see by the goy b'mechira v'lei b'matona. Aval ger teshav, but to a ger teshav, that's the beginning of the pasuk. A ger sheb'sherachet etnana, bein b'mechira, bein b'nesina. And the reason is mipnei shab atam mitzvah v'lachreisei. There is a chiyuv to be mechaya. In other words, you have to help him live. Shenamar ger v'teshav v'chayimach. So we learn now that a teshav, that ger is referring to a ger tzedek is ger v'teshav v'chayimach. That even a ger teshav is also v'chayimach. Halacha Yud Beis. Hanoisen matona le'eved le'isha is kona habal v'ha'odin. Ela sha'odin kena leguf. V'habal kena esel le'peiris. In other words, eved is gufi koni le'ha'odin. So memele mashakona eved kona rabbi. So when an eved makes a ma'asakinyan or he receives a matona, so memele goes to the rabbi. The Rebbe would always quote a Rashba in Kedushin Daf Chav Gimel, that over there the Rashba says that's not the pshat that the eved was first koina and then it goes to the yodin. Muchatchila, the eved's the yad ha'odin, and memele, so it goes muchatchila to the yodin. Masha'enken isha, a husband is not, she's not gufi koni to her husband. Just that the husband has chusim in her nechosim for the peiris. So that's pshat. And this matana le'eved le'isha is kana bal v'odin. The bal is kena and the odin is kena. Ela sha'odin kena leguf. The odin is actually kena the guf ha'chefetz, because mashakon eved kana rabbi, because the guf ha'eved belongs to the rabbi. Masha'enken babal kena isa le'peiris. He only has a kinyan in this matana le'peiris, that he has a schus peiris in this matana. But the guf matana taka belongs to the isha. Now nosen matana le'isha. A person gives a matana to a woman, or so the din is the Rambam Paskin, some Machlekes and Gemara, but the Rambam Paskin's kono eved v'kono abal. So the fact that you're saying ein lebayler reshuzba or ein leodin reshuzba doesn't change anything. But that's only if you didn't specify what you want the matana to be. You're saying you want the matana should belong to the eved, or you want the matana should belong to the isha, and that the baal shouldn't have any schus in it. So the din is that doesn't help, because lepeil it doesn't help al menashe ein lebaylo or leodin reshuzba. Aval haneisen matana leisha leeved v'hisli moim hanoisen begufi shel matana shetia lekach lekach. He specified what the purpose of this matana is. In other words, he earmarked the matana for a certain inyan. So then, leikona odin v'leikona abal. So in other words, he's saying clearly, I'm giving it to you, but he's not saying stam, saying, I'm giving it to you, and I want that he shouldn't have rishus for it. He's saying also what he wants him to do with it. So it's earmarked for a certain inyan. So be'efim kazeh, so the odin is takanat koina and the bal is not koina. Kesad. Hanoisen matana leisha. He gives a woman a present. V'amar lo harei amoyso elu nisunu lechob matana almanas. What's the purpose of it? So when you say almanas shein lo a bailer reshus, means to say it's going to be yours. But normally something that's yours, the bailer doesn't have reshusim. And over here, I'm normally with something that's yours, the bailer has reshus, and I want that the baal shouldn't have reshus. So the whole gather of Tnai is to take away the reshus of the baal. Over here, it's different. Over here, it's not sure you're taking away the reshus of the baal. You're saying, I'm giving it to you for a certain purpose. So memela, if it's for a certain purpose, so memela, obviously the baal can't use it. The purpose of this money is for you to buy clothes. You should be able to drink something with it. You should be able to use it. I want you to be able to use it. It's not like I want the money to be yours and I don't want the baal to have payers. I want the money to be yours and I want you to be able to use it. So then it's like konabal. I'm giving you money. I'm not saying amanas that the odin shouldn't have it, but I'm telling you what it's for. I'm giving you the money or amanas so she used this money to go out free. No, it's to give the odin the money and will go out free if the odin is maskim. I want that you should be able to do things that you want to do without the rishus odin. So the point is that it's being earmarked. It's not being earmarked for something specific. It's earmarked that you should do whatever you want to do with it. But it's as opposed to when a person says, I'm giving it to you and you should own it, and I don't want the odin to have it. That's over here, when I'm not speaking specifically what he wants him to do with it, so then it doesn't work. Now there is a she'in lebal rishus. Masha'inkin, if he says clearly what he wants him to do, even if he's not specific what he wants him to do, he wants him to be able to spend it, so then that's also considered a good t'nai, and taka, the odin and the baal don't have rishus. Is leikon odin, v'chein kol ki yitzibasa. Halacha tezvov, hanesin kol nechosiv la'avdei. Person gives away all his nechosim to his eved, so when a person could write a shtar shichur to his eved. Now a person owns an eved, he's going to give him nechosim, so he's not going to own the nechosim, because lepel mashakona eved kona rabbi, so memela, so he can't be koine nechosim, because the rabbi owns the nechosim. So the only way that it would work is a person can give a shtar shichur to eved, and a person can be makna all his nechosim to the eved, which also includes that the eved is being koine himself. So this shtar, which is a shtar that he's is giving him, transferring to him, all his possessions, including the eved, is Zchiah shtar shichur and Zchiah shtar matana. Hanesin kol nechosiv la'avdei, he gives all his nechosim to his eved, is kana atzmei v'yotze ben chayden, so the eved acquires himself in his yotze ben chayden, and also v'kana shara nechosim, and he's also kain, all the rest of the nechosim. However, v'im shir kolshu, if in this shtar, which he's writing out kol nechosi, he says except for something, afilu metaltal, even if he says except for a certain metaltalim, is like kona klum. So then the eved not only is not koina that particular piece of metaltalim, then he's not koina anything. Why? She'ein ze get cheirus gomer. In other words, a shtar shichrur, just like we learn out from a get, just like a get has to be something which is a davar hakeirus b'nei levino. So a shtar shichrur has to also be a shtar which is kairis between the odin and the eved. So it has to be a shtar which there's no connection. It doesn't leave any ties between the shtar and the eved, and the get is completely something that he's giving over to the eved. Now, if in the shtar shichrur it says a schus of the odin, that the odin is going to have a schus in a certain metaltalim, kol nechase knuyin lechachutz mizeh, so mele felt in the shtar shichrur. So felt in the shtar shichrur, so mele he's not meshucher. If he's not meshucher, so mele he's not kain anything. That's the seichel. She'ein ze get cheirus gomer shari shir bebeget. Memele metech shalim nishtachra. So since it's not really a shtar shikr, because there was a shir in the shtar, memele lekana klum. Because if he remains an eved, so memele, so he's not kain anything.